So this is going to be a fairly long video where I install these Alpine speakers in my T6 bus. I've gone for the big speakers and a 3-stage insulation kit, as recommended by Advanced In-Car Technologies. I use their videos as a basis for my work, and I've tried to expand on some of the things that they did. We're also fitting from VanX these little rubber mats, which are pretty straightforward, they just drop in, but we should also upgrade the window winder switches to these nice little ones like you get in a Caravelle with the silver bit on the top there. The speakers come with a pretty good set of instructions with lots of pictures and useful information. STP also had clear instructions and a fairly good online video. So let's get started with the A-pillars. The first thing to do is to remove the grab handle, unscrew the bolts that are hidden behind it, and pop off the A-pillar. I'll do a single video on removing the A-pillar at some point. For now, I'm just going to crack on with installing the new tweeters. So I've got the A-pillar off the car and on the bench. First thing to do is to grind off these welds and remove the old tweeter and the old grill. And to do that, I'm going to use a little Dremel tool with a little rotating burr on the end. Seems to make quite easy work of the job, and that's what they recommend in the instructions. Now I know from the other side that the speaker grill is not going to fit. That basically the this design of panel is too thick. I can't get this anywhere near these clips. Bring that a bit close to the camera that you can see. So basically this needs to get, there's no way to push that further on, so I'm going to have to draw around it and then trim away this grey material.
Just need to create a little bit of space around, there's no problems. That piece is going to fall off anyway, so I can just take the minimum amount of cutting, go on there, cut one here, through there, and back to there. And that should work.
This is pretty messy and noisy work, but you get there in the end. You just have to be careful and take your time. And the last thing you want to do is cut through the thin, lighter grey plastic. Okay, so I've cleaned up the panel.
So this comes on from the other side.
Okay, so there all the clips are seated properly now, and it looks as it should on the front. Now I'm going to fit the little speakers in.
So these are new speakers. So I'll try to avoid touching those. They've got a little protective head on them, so that's not going to be a problem. Right, let's turn them over. Okay, and there's a little bit of foam insulation to just go around that. So this was in the kit. Stop that from rattling.
There we go, looks great. Right, let's go and fit it to the car. The new tweeter is plug and play, so just go ahead, plug that in, and then feed in the bottom of the A-pillar, and then reconnect, push on the 3 Christmas tree clips that are up the length of the pillar. There's also 3 metal clips in the windscreen that are quite difficult to get in the right place. Then 2 bolts back on the handle, push the cover on and you're done. I think you'd agree these look absolutely fantastic, and for a lot of people they probably wouldn't bother fitting the door speakers. But I have to tell you, the sound improvement from the door speakers is incredible, and it's well worth carrying on with the work. On the doors, start by prying off the cover where the grab handle is. There's a little notch on the underside, which is where you start. then work your way along the bottom edge. Now remove the two T30 screws behind the door handle and the T25 that's halfway up the door in the middle. These two fixings are at the bottom of the door. Use an M10 spanner to rotate them 90 degrees. You can then pry the door off from starting at the bottom. There's 6 VW clips around the perimeter of the door trim which you'll need to break free. These are the trim clips that are on the back of the door trim. There's 6 in total, and when you pull off the door they'll be in this position. You have to reset them before you refit the door trim to this position. If they're broken in any way, you can't reuse them and you have to replace them. You can avoid breaking them by releasing them correctly. It's pushed into a hole in the body, and this rubber seal is sealing the water from coming in through the hole. And we're not trying to go like normal in behind the clip here and pry it out, because that's going to break the clip. We're actually trying to get down the gap here and push this plastic piece forward so that it goes into the open position and then releases without breaking the clip. So I'll try and demonstrate that, and hopefully we'll be successful. So I'll pull the panel back. I'm using a thin wedge like that. Difficult to get in there because it's, and then I'm in the right place, and I push it. Okay, so that is now released. You can see that the bit of the back there is free. The trim's not coming free because the 3 clips on the front edge need to be done in the same way. Lift the rear corner of the trim first, then pull away the door trim and release the door pull handle. Okay, so you need to pull that little switch forward and then lift it, and then it releases. And to reinstall it, it's the exact reverse. Locate that and then clip it back down. So a little switch. This is where it gets a bit tricky. You have to tip the door trim up like this, and then you can work to release the cables from the back of the door switch. Okay, so we can get fairly easily the blue clip at the bottom off with a screwdriver. Just flick that one out. The green one at the top also comes quite easily. It's difficult to do this without getting my hands in the way. Okay, and then we're left with the really difficult connector down here. Now basically I have to go in. Got it now. This is the really difficult switch to get, and it's when it's in the door. You've got the door trim upside down and you're looking at it like that. Basically it's only got a clip on one side, and you just have to pull that and then have enough free cable that you can pull this towards you. Next, we're going to remove the window winding switch. So slide the screwdriver in here, pressing from underneath, and then again here. Just the window lifter module will come out, so you can just leave that guy completely in the door. With the switch off, we can install these fancy little new window switches from VanX. So we're going to have to very carefully pry this off. Need to sort of...
Okay, so those little guys need to probably go back in there. Oops. Okay, so that'll be the switches, and then just compare. Pretty much identical. So just pushing it a bit to...
Yes, I did spot a little piece of white plastic underneath my left hand and refit that left hand switch.
Just got to be careful that the little springs, that these guys go back in those holes. Pins.
Now attach that switch module to the wiring loom and open these access points so that you can undo the bolts securing the window lifter to the window. Okay, put those somewhere safe. Turn the ignition on and bring the window down so that you can see the fixing bolts. Just loosen those half a turn. Wind the window back up and tape it up something like that. Use the masking tape to protect the paintwork from the duct tape. Then wind the window winding mechanism back down, leaving the window behind. Then turn off the ignition. You are now ready to drill out and remove the speaker. Don't forget to recover the rivets and avoid dropping any rubbish down the back into the door. Now protect the foam over the door pull sleeve with a bit of decorating tape. So to avoid having to take the lock mechanism or damaging the bracket that goes between here and here, it's got like a little hinge pivot on here. And on the in-car video, someone in the comments mentions that they broke it, which they did. And I didn't understand that because I couldn't see it from the picture. But there's a rivet pivot here. I'll put a photo up of it. And then there's a bar that comes across here. And then it's got a large plate that comes out here. And if you drill these two rivets, you won't have to fight it. You won't risk damaging it. And then you can slip your finger easily in here and just replace these two with a nut. I actually make a plate out of some scrap and two M6 15mm screws. This is installed when you reassemble the car. So with the door lock released from the winder panel, you can now unscrew the winder panel with all the bolts around the perimeter and release it. You can't remove it completely, it has to hang like that, and I supported it on a box while I was working. Once that's released, you can then clean out the inside of the door where you're going to stick the matting with some silicone and wax cleaner, such as this one from Liquid Moly. Now you can start installing the self-adhesive backed bitumen matting into the door. So that's a sheet and a half of the mat laid into the door. I went from the pretty much bottom of the glass down and then left it short at the bottom just so I could still get the roller it down. In the online instructions that came with this brand of matting, they talk about if there's any air gaps underneath the matting, that basically moisture will form there, or could form there, or be captured there, and that will then cause rust. So I want to avoid that. So and the other thing that I saw someone else mention is that you work from the bottom of the door up, so that all these joints are down. So if any water is coming down here, it rolls down the door, and that's and then again, I haven't tried to get too far behind the reinforcement bar because I want to be able to like roller down the edge nicely. Actually, I just put a glove on and undid it. First time I did it without a glove and picked up some nice cuts off the cut edge of the foil. So wear a glove. Yep, so next step is to put in the waterproof matting. So this sheet here, and I've got 2 of those per door. So so the second layer is laid in nicely. Pretty easy, that one. All you do is you take the sheet, you cut the bottom strip off, Then you offer the sheet up to the door so that it lines up with that first feature line, and then you mark the angle of the reinforcement bar on the sheet, cut it in half, cut it along that line, and the top piece goes at the top and the bottom piece goes at the bottom, and it just finishes just short of 5 centimeters cut off the bottom. It finishes just short of that second feature line just there. And yeah, and then you obviously have to just go in and cut out the little corner where the wheel arch is, and then the spare 5 centimeter piece that you cut off goes up at the top there. Hopefully that's going to stay on. I guess the adhesive on this stuff is one of these ones where it sort of like cures over time, and it will become tomorrow almost unbreakable bond. Now reinstall the window winder panel. Make sure that you get the little plastic piece from the door lock installed between the window winder mechanism and the carrier panel. Put all the other fixations on, check that you've got all the screws snugged up, switch the ignition on, and then wind the winding mechanism up to meet the glass. You can then begin to remove the tape that's holding the glass in place. The duct tape leaves a bit of a mess behind. That sticky stuff comes off fairly easily with a rag with acetone, dipped in a bit of acetone, but obviously you don't want to use acetone on your paint job, so it makes good sense to put a bit of that yellow decorating tape that doesn't leave any sticky shit behind. So it's just the standard stuff that you get at the builder's yard for doing paint masking. There you go, acetone gone. But yeah, I don't really want to acetone the rubber or the paint job at the top there, because it's going to probably damage that. With the window clean, you can wind the window down and reattach the fixations. Window back down, just tighten these up. So M10, just literally just pinching that, just the power that I've got between my thumb and my finger. That's all it needs. Same on the rear. Don't kill it. Test the winder mechanism a few times and then install those 2 extra fixations that we talked about earlier. I put a double Loctite on those screws. Finally, we're on to the fun bit of installing the speaker and testing the speaker. Just follow the instructions here, it's dead easy. Don't forget to reinstall those 2 dust caps over the window winder screws and to make sure that all of the weather seals are nice and tight. Now we're going to lay more of the bitumen matting onto the window winder carrier plate to stop it from vibrating. So here's a close-up of the soundproofing laid into the door. I've done this all with small patches to avoid having to remove these clips and the modules, and also so that it makes it easier if the patches are smaller to make up the steps and the more extreme shape that this panel has. And I've put in total into this door 2 1/4 sheets of this bitumen matting, and yeah, when I got to the point where I'd used up the 2 sheets that it came with, I'd got that whole area was missing, so you do need a little bit extra than what's in the kit, but yeah, and now it's got a nice solid sound. So tested the speaker, and the next thing to do is to just remove this, which I pulled off earlier. And then to scrape with something like that as much of the crappy fluff as you can get off. I mean, it's I'm hoping, and then I'll then use this 10mm soundproofing to redo these pockets. You can't really cut this stuff with once you've peeled the backing off of it. Once you've peeled the backing off of it, whatever it touches, it is sticking to that. Your hands, your shirt, whatever. So cut your patches with a pair of scissors, roughly plan out what you're going to do, and then stick it down in one go. There's no messing about with this stuff. It's one hit and then it's there forever. And yeah, I don't know what you can clean this off with if you ever want to remove it. Just forget it. Yeah, it's on forever. Right, so it's cut. I've cut all my patches. It looks a bit of a mess, but it's going to be all right when it goes when I've padded it all down. So that's it with all the panel liner stuck down. That was 2 sheets of panel liner that came, so there was 4 in total in the kit. 2 went into each door. The guys at In-Car, they literally lined the entire panel. I don't know if that's worth doing. Yeah, leave a note in the comments if you think I should put more in. I'm going to order some more stereo stuff in the future, and be easy to drop these door trims off and put some more in if it was worth it. But yeah. Now you've got the fun job of reconnecting that wiring harness to the door switch. Off of the front corner of the door trim onto the door panel, and then drop the back down over the lock pin. I opened the window to make my life a little bit easier because just lining up the weather seal on the inside of the door isn't that easy. Then push in the clips, fix the screws, reinstall the handle, and you're done. The other VanX products were these little rubber insert mats that just
Drop in there. Yeah.
and the little rubbish thing still fits. So the job's all finished. It's been fitted to the car for about a month and I've been driving around with it. I mean, obviously the door speaker, there's not a great deal to see because it's hidden behind the grille. I got the nice little tweeter grills to look at, which gives me a warm fuzzy feeling. But I have to be honest, the sound improvement is just astounding. I mean, it really is just, before I had this car, I had a really quite nice BMW with a good sound system in it and from factory. And, you know, that buying a van like this after that car, I mean, they're not a BMW, let's be honest. And yeah, the stereo was rubbish, and now with these speakers, it's getting there. And you know, it's a pleasure to listen to the music. And I think, you know, as an older guy, I've got to be honest. You know, I mean, 20 years ago, I had a nice stereo in my flat, and I lived on my own, and I used to listen to music, and I was pretty happy. But you know, today I'm an old bloke. I've got kids. I've got a wife. I've got a dog. You know, the dog doesn't want to hear loud music, and you know, the only place I'm listening to music these days is in the car. So it's great to have these speakers fitted, and I really think, you know, I mean, I bought them from Amazon Marketplace. They were a bit cheaper. I think the retail price at the moment is around €350. I spent another 150 on the soundproofing kit, which, yeah, I probably could have got cheaper, but I think that kit was quite easy and it had everything that I needed in it, and it was good, seemed to be quite good quality. I mean, you know, time will tell if it's, I don't think there'll be any issues with it falling off out of the doors. And yeah, you know, and what else did I spend? Yeah, that's it really. So yeah, 300 for the matting. I mean, it was a time-consuming job. Yeah, but you know, for the improvement in my life and in this car, it's great. You know, I mean, anyway, don't want to waffle too much. I'm very good at waffling, and yeah, just hope you found the video useful. Please subscribe, so because I shall continue to do videos like this and try and show the complete process. I'm not trying to sell you a product. I don't do this professionally. I've got another job. You know, I'm not selling anything. I don't have an online shop. I'm not going to. Yeah, subscribing is what helps. And I'm quite interested to see what happens when you get up to the 500 subscribers. Probably nothing, but yeah, anyway, that's my aim. So if you can help me with that, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks very much, and thanks for watching. Bye.